You hear it before you see it, the slow sigh of a pump in the dark, like a giant breathing under the ground. In this town, the night smells like oil and rain, and every shadow looks like a secret trying to hide. Someone is missing. No note, no call. Only the sound of the well, pulling up the past. This town rose from dust when the first black stream broke the earth. Back then, people said the ground was a gold chest and the key was hunger. They came with trucks and hard hats and long days, and the wells answered them with a roar. Streets grew where there had been dirt. Neon signs lit up windows that used to be dark. A diner learned the names of the night shift. The church rang twice on Sundays. It all looked simple from far away. Dig, pull, sell, repeat. But up close, the shine was a thin coat of paint. Under it, there were cracks. The ground never stopped moving. Pipes hissed. Valves clicked. The rigs beat a slow drum, day and night, like the town's rough heart. The air had a taste of bitter, metal hint that sat on the tongue. People said you got used to it. People say many things when there is money to make and sleep to chase. Everyone walked a little faster here. Everyone watched a little less. It felt safer not to stare too long at anything. Still, you notice patterns if you live here long enough. You notice how the streetlights flicker near the old storage yard, and how the same two cars circle the block at 2 a.m., and how the river shines with a thin film after storms. You notice when a face you see every day stops showing up. At first, it seems normal. Folks switch shifts. Folks take leave. But then days run together. The empty spot grows louder. The hum of the pumps cannot drown it out. He was good at not being seen, even when he stood right in front of you. A quiet man, steady hands, clean boots, name stitched on his chest, Alex Mercer. Not much to say about him, people thought. Not the kind to raise dust. He kept time like a watch, came early, left late, never forgot his lunch. If he had a story, he kept it tucked behind his eyes, where nobody could reach. That is how it is here. You lean on the routine. You build a shell. You keep your head down when the wind shifts. The wells gave this place money, but they took other things. They took the stars first. The glare ate them. They took the smell of rain. The air lost its clean edge. They took the sound of quiet. The rigs filled it with their low chant. After a while, people forgot what the town had been before. They only remembered the rhythm of trucks and the shine of fuel on the road and the way cash moved like a river you could not drink. If something felt wrong, you told yourself it was just the ground settling. If a door closed, you said it was the wind. There is a difference between silence and peace. Peace is soft and full. Silence is tight and thin, like a wire pulled hard. Tonight, the whole town feels like that wire. The sky hangs heavy. A dog won't stop barking 3 blocks over. Someone leaves a light on in the office past midnight. A phone buzzes and then goes still. It is the kind of night that asks questions and then dares you to answer. Oil is a strange kind of wealth. It does not flash like gold or ring like coins. It crawls, it stains. It gets under nails and into minds. It can make a house warm and a heart cold at the same time. People tell themselves the cost is worth it. They list jobs and checks and new roofs. They learn to use short words so their mouths don't shake, leak, spill, flare, fix. They forget longer words like duty and care. They learn to step over a puddle without looking at what makes it shine. If you stand by the fence at the main field, you can feel the land breathe, slow and deep. You can hear steel sigh, bolts tick, a rope creak. You can smell heat even in the dark. A moth burns itself on a lamp and drops into the gravel. Somewhere, a camera blinks red. Someone in a small room watches screens without blinking. This is what safety looks like here. A circle of light, a chain link wall, and the hope that whoever wants in is afraid of alarms. Hope is cheap. Locks are cheaper. Secrets cost the most, but nobody writes that down. The town made room for secrets the way clay makes room for water. They seeped in. They filled cracks. They felt heavy but natural, like they had always lived here. There were stories people told in low voices and stories people only told themselves. You could measure who a person was by the size of the things they did not say. You could tell when the truth was close because the air felt warmer, like a flare lifting the night. Most folks turned away when it got bright. Alex did not. He started to look. And when you look in a place like this, the ground looks back. He opened doors that were meant to stay shut. He read lines that were meant to blur. He counted barrels. He traced maps. He asked small questions in the right order. He found the kind of answer that does not fit in a pocket. And then one evening, he put on his jacket, walked out under the red light of the rig, and the night swallowed him whole. No prints in the dust. No goodbye. Just the wire of silence pulled tighter. People say a man can walk away from his life. It happens. A bus, a new name, a long road. But not Alex. Not the man who straightened tools before he left a shift. Not the man who took care of small things so big things would not break. When a person like that vanishes, it is not a choice. It is a message. And messages do not appear by chance in a town where chance is a story people tell when they cannot prove the truth. So listen to the pumps. Listen to the night. Listen to the way the ground hums like a warning you can't quite make out. There is a shape in the dark, and it is not the wind. There is a debt under the soil, and it is not paid with cash. If you stand still long enough, you can feel the pull of it, slow and sure, like a hook set deep. Someone is missing, and the town is acting like it isn't. That is the worst sign of all. Because when a place learns to live without a person, it has already started to forget what it owes them. And when a town starts to forget, someone always makes sure it forgets for good. They called it black gold because it made poor men rich and quiet men dangerous. The oil didn't just come from the ground, it came from something older, deeper, and hungrier than anyone could name. It came with whispers. When the first well opened, they said the ground groaned like it was giving birth to a curse. But nobody listened. They only saw the shine, not the shadow behind it. At first, it was simple. Dig, pump, profit. Every barrel was a promise, every flare a celebration. Men bought new trucks, wives painted their houses bright, kids wore shoes that didn't squeak. The mayor cut ribbons, preachers thanked heaven, and the local paper ran headlines that smelled like pride. But behind those smiles was something else, something slick and black that didn't wash off. The richer the town grew, the poorer its soul became. The oil field became a god, and everyone prayed in their own way. Some knelt in banks, some in bars, some in the dark with a bottle and regret. People forgot to look each other in the eye. They talked about barrels and numbers, but never about people. The rigs were the new saints, their arms swinging slow, steady, eternal. They didn't care who worked beneath them, who got hurt, who vanished. They just kept moving, drawing lifeblood from the earth like it was endless. Alex used to say that oil had a memory. It remembers everything we bury, he once told a co-worker during a night shift. Names, lies, even screams. They laughed, of course. Who wouldn't? But after he disappeared, the joke didn't sound funny anymore. Some said he knew too much about the waste pits, the missing records, the barrels that went uncounted. Some said he had proof, a hard drive or a folder he kept hidden. Others swore they saw him arguing with a man in a black coat near the edge of the field. But stories change hands faster than truth in this town. As the oil money flowed, so did the fear. Workers started whispering about strange things, machines turning on by themselves, lights flickering near the deep wells, voices in the radio static. Some said the oil wasn't just fuel, it was alive, watching, learning. Maybe it wasn't true, but it didn't need to be. Fear spreads faster than fire when everyone's standing in gasoline. Then came the night of the storm. The wind howled through the rigs, bending steel like grass. Lightning flashed across the sky, turning the pumps into black skeletons. The next morning, the storm was gone, but so was Alex. His locker still hung open. His boots sat neatly beneath the bench. His ID badge lay on the floor, cracked down the middle. No one saw him leave. No one heard a thing. The cameras that night? Malfunction, they said. Always the same word: clean, simple, final. The company men came first, wearing suits that didn't belong in a town like this. They moved through the field like ghosts, asking short questions and writing long notes. They said Alex must have quit, that maybe he wanted a new life. But who quits without a word, without a goodbye? Not Alex, not him. His mother called every station, every office, even the sheriff. The sheriff stopped answering after a week. Still looking, he said. But nobody was. Rumors filled the silence. Some claimed he fell into a shaft and the company buried it before anyone could check. Others said he was seen on a bus heading north, his eyes blank, his hands shaking. But the truth sank somewhere between the surface and the dark. Heavy as the oil itself, the wells kept pumping. The lights kept burning. The paychecks kept coming. People learned to stop saying his name. It was easier that way. Easier to let the past sink where no one digs. The company built a new storage unit right over the field where Alex last worked. Fresh paint. New locks. Nobody asked what. That's the thing about this place. Nothing ever really disappears. It just gets covered. Buried under time, dirt, and denial. The ground holds everything. Every lie, every scream, every missing name. And when the earth decides it's had enough, it gives something back. Sometimes a crack in the soil. Sometimes a shadow in a window. Sometimes a story that refuses to stay quiet. In this town, oil doesn't just stain your hands, it stains your conscience. It feeds on silence. The more you ignore it, the stronger it grows. And maybe that's what Alex understood before anyone else. Maybe that's why he vanished. He dug too deep. He found what everyone else was too afraid to see. And now the wells whisper his name every night, carried on the breath of the earth. The night Alex disappeared wasn't loud. It wasn't marked by sirens or shouting. It slipped in quiet, like a whisper no one wanted to hear. The sun had gone down slow, the sky bleeding into rust before turning black. The rigs still hummed in the distance, steady and heartless, as if nothing in the world could change their rhythm. But something did. Something small, maybe a flicker of a light, a shadow out of place, something that broke the pattern just enough to make the night remember it. They say Alex clocked out at 8:47 p.m. He walked past the security booth, nodded at the guard, and stepped into the dark. That's it. No one saw him again. His car never started. His phone stopped pinging somewhere between the rig and the main road, a stretch of gravel no longer than a mile. A mile that might as well have swallowed him whole. At first, no one panicked. Men missed shifts all the time. Sometimes they got drunk, sometimes they got tired, sometimes they just needed to breathe. The foreman made a note, shrugged, and said he'll show up. But when morning came, Alex's locker was still open. His lunchbox sat untouched. His notebook was gone. The cameras covering the exit. Static, every single one. The same glitch at the same time on every feed. To need to be an accident, the company acted fast, faster than anyone thought they would. They sealed the section where Alex had worked, said it was for safety inspection. Two men in suits arrived before noon, clean shoes in a place that ate boots. They didn't talk much. They walked the field, pointed at things, took photos, whispered, then left. No one saw their faces clearly. That was fine by them. By the third day, people started to talk. Some said Alex found something. Others said he ran. The word evidence floated through the air like smoke. No one could catch it, but everyone smelled it. A hard drive, a map, maybe a list. The kind of thing that made you disappear faster than the ink could dry. A worker swore he saw Alex arguing with a man near the tanks the night he vanished. Another claimed he saw a black SUV parked by the dirt road with its lights off. Everyone had a version. Nobody had proof. Then there was the sound. 2 nights after he vanished, a worker on the night shift swore he heard tapping from below the platform, faint, slow, rhythmic. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more. When he looked under, nothing was there but the hum of machinery and the drip of oil. They laughed about it the next day. called it nerves. But that same worker quit a week later. He said the sound followed him home, came through his walls when the wind blew east. Alex's mother came to the site a week later. She stood at the fence holding a photo, asking questions the guard didn't want to answer. They told her to go home, that the company was handling it. She didn't. She came back every day for 2 weeks. Until one morning she found her car windows shattered and a note stuck under the wiper. Stop digging. After that, she stopped coming. But she never stopped asking that the sheriff called it a missing person case. But everyone knew what that meant: a file, a form, a line in a report. The sheriff's office was small and underfunded, and the oil company's donations kept the lights on. They said they searched the nearby woods, the river bank, even the drainage pipes. Nothing, not a trace. The official statement was short: no foul play suspected at this time. The unofficial one was simpler: let it go. But not everyone did. A friend of Alex's, a mechanic named Ray, started asking around. He found out the company had quietly removed an entire section of pipeline the day after Alex went missing. No notice, no paperwork. When he tried to find out where it was moved, he got silence. A week later, his garage burned down. The fire marshal called it an accident. Ray packed up and left town the next day. Every story in this town ends the same way, with a fire, a silence, or a closed door. But some nights, you can still feel Alex's presence. Not as a ghost, not as a rumor, but as a gap, a missing piece in the pattern of things. His friends still pause when they hear boots behind them. The streetlight outside his house still flickers like it remembers his shadow. And when the wind runs through the rigs, the pipes groan low, like they're carrying his name through the earth. People have a way of pretending. They act like everything's normal, like the missing are just misplaced. But deep down, everyone feels it, something wrong beneath their feet. The oil field has grown quieter, heavier, like it's holding its breath. Some say it's guilt, others say it's grief. But the truth feels simpler. The ground doesn't forget what it eats. The last person who saw Alex swears he was calm. No rush, no fear, just a man walking into the night with his hands in his pockets. Maybe he knew what was coming. Maybe he thought he could outrun it. But nobody outruns this place. You don't walk away from black gold, it pulls you back. One way or another. And now, every time a new man takes the night shift, the same warning gets passed around in whispers. If you hear footsteps behind you when you're alone, don't turn around. It's not the wind. It's just the field remembering. Because in this town, people don't just disappear. They get claimed. Morning never really arrives in this town. It just bleeds slowly out at the dark. The sky turns from black to brown. The rigs still breathing smoke. The ground still trembling with hidden life. The day Alex vanished, something shifted under that trembling. The hum of the field sounded different. Not louder, not quieter, just wrong. As if the earth itself had started whispering secrets it was never meant to tell. The company called it routine maintenance. They said they were patching leaks, adjusting valves, cleaning filters. But those who worked there knew better. They saw new faces, men with no names on their badges, moving like ghosts through the fog. They carried cases, not tools. They sealed off sections that didn't need sealing. They spoke in codes and nodded like soldiers. Something was being hidden, something the storm had stirred up. Ray, the mechanic who lost his garage, used to say the oil talked. You just have to listen between the noise, he'd mutter over a beer. After Alex disappeared, he swore the hum of the pipes changed pitch. It wasn't random anymore, it pulsed, like a heartbeat. He recorded it once, late one night. When he played it back, there was a sound beneath the rhythm. A faint click, like Morse code. 3 long beats. 2 short, 1 long. He played it over and over until he realized what it spelled. A.M. Alex Mercer. Word spread in low voices. Workers started avoiding certain wells. The ones near the East Ridge, where the soil had cracked open after the storm. They said you could hear tapping if you stood still long enough. Others claimed the ground moved there like something breathing below it. One man swore he saw a reflection in a puddle that wasn't his own. He quit the next day and left town without collecting his pay. Then the accidents began. Small ones at first. A crane that jammed and swung too far. A valve that exploded without warning. A rig hand found his gloves soaked in oil even though the pump was off. The company blamed human error, but people whispered Alex's name again. They said he wasn't gone. They said he'd become part of the field. The oil carried him now, his voice, his anger, his truth. A week later, a USB drive arrived in the mailroom. No address, no label. Just a black casing smeared with something that smelled like crude. The clerk handed it to the supervisor, who plugged it into his computer. The screen went white for a moment, then filled with static and fragments of numbers, coordinates, dates, shipment codes, all traced back to a single site, one that had been shut down years ago after a containment failure, a place the company never mentioned again. The supervisor locked the drive in a drawer and never spoke of it. 2 days later, he didn't come to work. The deeper people looked, the more the pieces refused to fit. Every document, every report about Alex's final shift had been rewritten. Signatures didn't match. Timestamps jumped. His employment file vanished entirely. But the strange thing, payroll still sent his check. Every week. Same amount, same date. Cashed automatically. The account name had been changed to no longer Alex Mercer, just AM Holdings, and yet no one in town had the courage to dig further. Fear spread through the workers like a slow leak. Some started drinking more, others praying harder. The smart ones kept their mouths shut and eyes low. But the ones who couldn't, the ones who asked too many questions, found themselves reassigned to night shifts or transferred out without warning. The company called it restructuring. The locals called it cleansing. It was around this time that the narrator, let's call him Sam, started to see patterns. Sam had been Alex's friend once, back when both still believed hard work meant safety. Now, every sound in the field felt like a message. He'd lie awake, listening to the pump's rhythm through his window, tracing the intervals with his finger on the